Today we're going to show you the Stevens Engineering Association SEA-235, an HF single sideband marine radio that is also very capable of ham operation, as I'll show you in a minute. Pretty straightforward radio. We can have direct frequency entry, we can set all kind of functions which we'll show you. We got an alarm function, all marine radios have that. Obviously power, we got a noise blanker, we got a squelch that can be used, and this is basically a reset button. Let's turn it on and see what happens. Alright, I'll start with a self-test. Shows the firmware versions. Now this is a DSP radio, so it has firmware for the DSP as well as firmware for the overall controller. It defaults to the marine emergency channel, and from there we can basically pick any frequency we want. Now this radio has a ham mode, an amateur mode, which was programmed by the engineers that designed this radio. They must have been hams. It's an undocumented feature, but allows you to quickly access the ham bands and to also go to the right mode for that. It's operated as follows: you press 73 and then function, and then it goes to the amateur mode. It's not documented, and now you can go anywhere you want. Let's go to the 20 meter bands. Now we are in the 20 meter band. It is very easy to step through the frequencies with this radio. It basically tunes into 10 Hertz steps from a direct digital synthesizer. If that goes too slow, you can say, well, let's go to 100 Hertz. You press 2. Now we go in 100 Hertz steps. If you don't like that, you press 3. You go in 1 kilohertz steps. If you don't like that, you press 4 and you go in 10 kilohertz steps. The easiest I find is basically position 3. As you see, if you keep it depressed, it will step through the channels pretty quickly. The nice thing is most hams maintain a 1 kilohertz position, so you're mostly right on frequency as you step through the channels. If not, you can always go into the finer steps. It's still early. Propagation at 20 meter is not great. Quickly check out the 40 meter band. There might still be something going on there because it's early. So one would go to 7100, and as you see, it defaults to lower sideband. It does that because you're in amateur mode. After all, that's what we are, right? A bunch of amateurs. Nope. Very quiet. I guess it's not a lot of activity. Well, let's go back to 20 and I'll go through a couple of the capabilities of this radio with you.
Into the Caribbean, down toward Florida even. So please call Imports and check in the mic. Looking for chicken.
Now, I told you the radio has a digital signal processor. It has a digital IF, as it's called, and it makes the filters in the digital domain.
I got you, Moody. Go ahead.
I can show you that.
Okay, Maurice, add some inquiries about...
Here we go to different modes. We got upper sideband. We got lower sideband. We got what they call telex, but it's basically RTTY. So it's a 500 Hertz mode. This is another telex mode with a slightly different carrier point. This is what's called amplitude modulation equivalent. If you transmit now, it will send out a carrier with one sideband to emulate amplitude modulation. This is a CW mode. It can actually do CW, and it creates a narrow filter for that, I think 300 Hertz. And this is the true AM mode. It does that too. It only receives in the true AM mode. I don't know why they did that. And this is the exit of that menu. So now we're back in upper sideband.
Just let him know that his friends and relatives I'm finding out are asking about he and Dolores. Thank you, sir. Let's get it back on that. WQ65.
Now we can set different power levels. High power is 150 watts. Low power is somewhere between 50 and 70. And very low power is between 25 and 40, if I have to believe the manual.
So I don't know what's going on, over.
Can set a dimmer. Can set a squelch. There is a whole setup menu. You can turn off the beep if you don't like that.
I don't know what's going on.
Tuner, if you have an external tuner, yes or no. At this moment we don't. We have a manual tuner, not an automatic one. This is, I think, for the different control heads. You can connect up to 4 control heads to this radio, and here you can select which one that is. This I'll have to open the manual for you. Telex. Oh, this is to select which output on the back you want to have for the AF output. Whether you want the telex output or the RTTY output or the regular analog one. AGC can be set for the receiver. The RTTY AGC can be set for fast. This is a different setting. They call it a VOGAT. It's basically an RF speech processor. You can set the parameters for that. And here you're at the exit. Now the radio has more than 900, almost 1,000 pre-programmed ITU marine frequencies that you can call up in different banks, whether it's for fax or RTTY or ship-to-ship or ship-to-base, the marine operator. All that is selected in different banks, and I'm not going to show you that. The video is going to get too long, but it's all shown in the manual. But it also has 200 what they call scratch pad memories. These memories basically you can program yourself. They're non-volatile. By the way, the radio does not have a backup battery. Everything is programmed into EEPROM, so you don't have to worry about batteries that go bad. This is really a very usable radio, not only for marine work but also for ham work. This actually, in all my years of commercial radios, shortwave single sideband radios that I have played with and tested, this is by far the most usable one for amateur use. It's basically a ham radio.
That's what it is. It's a Moody Special.
As I told you, it covers 1.6 to 30 megahertz, but the receiver actually goes lower. For instance, if I go to
Moody out in Claremont, California, it's a beautiful city of Claremont. Or download the free app.
and I go to
Are you putting your retirement savings in a 401k, IRA, or investment account? Many experts warn of a stock market crash.
I go to 10 kilohertz steps.
The last two crashes, you could lose 50% or more of your heart. Free casino. Retirement savings again.
I guess I have to go to marine mode to get to the lower frequencies. Well, we can show you that later. In the ham mode it doesn't go below 1.6. In marine mode you can actually go lower than that. So I put it in marine mode again.
This message is brought to you by the Florida Division of Emergency Management, the Florida
Okay.
Association of Broadcasters and its radio station. What I noticed.
So as you see, you can also use it as a broadcast radio. It won't transmit, obviously, but the reason why it can do these low frequencies is to listen to the FEC weather reports at 400 kilohertz.
Verses 12 through 16 and verses 22
I'm not sure how to call that up.
On the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, when they sacrificed...
Well, anyway, you can go to the weather facts, which are like around 400, 500 kilohertz. The noise that you hear here is from my switching power supply. I need to turn off that thing. Alright, I turned off that power supply. Not much to hear, but at least we have less noise now.
We want the right call to be made.
In any case, that's what the performance is at the lower frequencies, but like I said, it's only received in this mode. Let's see what the transmitter can do. Alright, we're back on 20 meters again. I'll show you the performance of the transmitter. We have a bird watt meter hooked up to the radio, and I have my Yaesu 817 at the same frequency, which we'll use at a monitor frequency, a monitor receiver. I will switch the radio to the dummy load. We're currently at 14.3, which is the Maritime Mobile Service Net. So we don't want to bother those guys, and we go to dummy load. That's where we are now. And let's see what we get from the Yaesu. We got 150 watts. And we're at the Yaesu now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As you can see, the frequency is dead on for both the Yaesu and this radio. The Yaesu does not have a lot of signal here. Let's increase that a bit. 1, 2, 3, this is the receiver performance. So as you can see, we got 150 watts. I can go to low power if you want. High power, low power. About 80 watts. And then we go to very low power. That's 50 watts. 50 watts. Not exactly very low power, but I guess to the marine guys it is. So that's the performance of the transmitter. Now, as I told you, it can also do other modes: amplitude CW, amplitude modulation CW, amplitude modulation equivalent, I should say, as I showed you earlier. And we can set any frequency we want from 1.6 to 30. Let's see what it does on the 100, the very high and the very low band. So let's go to 160 meters first. Alright, we're at 1.6, which is actually lower than the 160 meter band, which goes from 1.8 to 2. But I just wanted to show you at the very lowest frequency what we can do. It does about 140 watts here. Let's go to the 10 meter band. So that would be 29.6. And well, we can go a little bit higher, but for the test this will do. We get about 140 watts there, depending on how loud you can whistle. But that is across the band, so here you see the performance from the highest frequency to the lowest. Now obviously I can set it to, let's see if it actually does that. No, that's too high, so I would have to go to 299999. And didn't like that either. Yeah, it did like that. Yeah, it does that too. But that's the absolute highest, of course. Yeah. But like I said, covers 1.6 to 30 uninterrupted. No frequencies that are locked out. So for instance, if I go to what is the frequency for that? 54035. That is, I think, a 60 meter channel. So 60 meter channel, if I'm not mistaken. Now it defaults to lower sideband. It thinks it's close to 80 meters, I guess. So what you would want to do there is obviously, go to upper sideband, because that's all we are allowed on 60 meters. And we get about 140 watts depending on how loud you can whistle. So you can do that too. 60 meters is no problem, and everything else you want to cover between 1.6 and 30. Very versatile radio. Here we got the rear apron of the rig. This is what is called the C-bus interface. It's mainly to connect a external remote controller, probably an antenna tuner. There is an external antenna tuner available for this radio. We got RS-232 control. This is the auxiliary connector, and it allows you to connect an external microphone, a speaker. There is voltages available. Of course, we got the connected microphone, but you can also hook another one up here, so you don't have to use the one on the front. Here we have the DC power input, 13.6 volts, Anderson power pulse. And here we got the RF connector, an SO239 standard UHF connector, and of course a hefty ground lug. Pretty simple.
And we were just there on Melissa in April. Very good. I'll send 7-3, and I'll be clear, and seeing if we can get some other callers into Whiskey 2 Whiskey. Go ahead.
November 1, radio Japan Kilo.
Whiskey 4, Whiskey Charlie Charlie, Whiskey 4, Whiskey Charlie Charlie. I think I heard a Kilo Alpha 8 station. Go ahead.
Kilo Alpha 8.
Thank you. Kilo Alpha 8, Japan Hotel Delta. Thank you. Your name and your state, please.
For that, we were on 40 successfully for a number of years, and then 40 kind of fell out, so we've gone progressively lower.
Alright, that basically was it. The SEA-235 Marine/amateur radio.
My name is Alan, in case you
One of the most useful commercial radios I've ever seen for ham applications. Thing is built like a tank. All American construction. Made in the USA, of course.
Very good. W3BB, W8NBO, very good. And you're peaking 10 over. Nope.
Excellent radio. This particular one is truly in mint condition. As you can see, has a outer coating finish, whatever it is. The front is like spotless. And works very well. DSP radio, IF DSP, direct digital synthesizer, 10 Hz step, lowest resolution. Very sensitive receiver. Covers everything from 1.6 to 30, both receive and transmit. And for receiver goes even lower, as I showed you. Front firing speaker. That's kind of nice. Keypad works really nice to have a good feel. They are backlit, you can't really see it in the dark, in the daylight, but in the dark it will come out much better. Thank you for watching this video.